What if we were able to bring Sarah Binder on?
That'd be great.
I think so, too. She's a well-known political science expert. She joins us this morning. Hello, Sarah.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
Tell us where, I see your office there. This looks exactly like mine at home. Tons of books, of which I haven't read all of them yet anyway. But tell us where you are. Give us a little bit of your background, and then let's start talking Lindsey Graham.
Sure. I'm a professor of political science here at George Washington University and a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, a think tank across town, and I study Congress.
Wow, that's great.
Wow, incredible.
Okay, so when you woke up to the news Sunday morning, were you as sort of shell-shocked as the rest of us? I mean, talk about a guy in his early 70s who's just constantly on the move. I mean, he literally travels the world. In terms of the loss of Lindsey Graham, what kind of an impact are we talking about?
Well, I think it's not an overstatement to say that Senator Graham's loss will be felt in the Senate. He played a pretty pivotal role for someone who's not a party leader, for someone who was both and sometimes an intense partisan, very close to Donald Trump, but also good friends across the aisle, who's always in every bipartisan gang on big policy issues. So we often think that, a senator dies unexpectedly or retires, maybe he'll be missed, but people will miss Lindsey Graham.
You know, how was he able to operate as truly one of the biggest supporters for President Trump on Capitol Hill, and yet there was so much about him where he loved actually working with people who were across the aisle from him. I mean, Cory Booker comes forward to tell the story of there was a bill that was working its way through, and Lindsey said, just give me some time here. I forget what the actual bill was, but there were some things that Senator Booker thought were important to work in. And eventually, Senator Graham went to the president and said, you need to look at these 3 or 4 issues that my Democrat friends are bringing to me. So my question is, was he able to operate that way when it feels like there really aren't that many people doing that anymore up on the Capitol Hill?
So it's a great question. Keep in mind, Lindsey Graham had been on Capitol Hill for a long time. First elected in '94, a stint in the House. You had a photo of him up there when he looked quite younger, early in the '90s, and then moving to the Senate. He had long-term relationships both within the Republican Party as well as across the aisle. And there's something, as political scientists, we like to look at big structural factors like elections and the economy and so forth. But you can't lose sight of these individual relationships that lawmakers try to build, or many of them try to build. Why did this work? How could he be both playing golf with Donald Trump on one day and working with Cory Booker on another? Democrats trusted him, as well as fellow Republicans. And if you trust the person, that makes possible these sorts of bipartisan deals, even if you don't agree with each other on most of the issues of the day.
Mm-hmm. And moving forward, I don't want to say how does someone fill his shoes, but, how do politicians in South Carolina now looking forward in replacing him? Do you think, the hope would be to try to replace someone as similar to him who tried to work both sides? Or what do you see for that seat that's now open?
I think it would be an extraordinary rare to find someone who immediately fills the shoes of Lindsey Graham in terms of that array of relationships on Capitol Hill. Much more likely the replacement, whoever gets elected in November, the replacement will look like other Republican senators from the South who are both and it's strong incentive to be responsive to conservative voters and to MAGA voters. And so you'll see someone who looks much more like other Republicans in the South than someone like Lindsey Graham.
So let's talk just a little bit about the Mitch McConnell situation and then take one step back in terms of what the future holds for the Senate. Lindsey Graham was running for re-election. Mitch McConnell was just about to wrap up his career in a few more months. As you look at both of those two really kind of lions of the Senate that are now one gone and one soon to be gone, does it make it harder for the Republicans to hold on to power, or is the fact that Kentucky is a very red and South Carolina is a very red state not make that much of a chance of a political earthquake happen?
Well, I think it's important to keep in mind that even with Senator Graham and even with Mitch McConnell on Capitol Hill, the Republicans have a very fragile majority, certainly, especially in the House, but even a little bit on the rocks in the Senate. And so even if Senate Republicans were at full strength, 53 Republican senators, they'd be having difficulties, as we saw just a couple of weeks ago. They're struggling to get spending bills done. There's a big disagreement, even amongst the Republicans, about a defense spending request from President Trump. And of course, voters are a bit disillusioned if you look at President Trump's approval ratings. And so this is a tough time. It's a tough time for Republicans, just as it's a tough time for any majority going into midterms once the president's popularity plummets.
Oh.
So would you say where would you put the odds right now? Are we I could easily see a split Senate, a 50-50 Senate. Or do you think just because there's, the party that won the election 2 years ago, midterms, they don't do very well? I don't know if you're a betting person, but if you had to put the odds on it, are we looking at a Democrat Senate in about 6 months?
Well, first, I'm not a betting person.
I don't know that I want.
But if I were,
yeah.
I think if you look at these prediction markets, that'll tell you maybe 50-50, but really Republicans have a slight edge. And I think the difficulties Democrats have been facing with finding a candidate in Maine, a really strong Democratic disagreement going on in Michigan, those are going to cut into Democratic chances. So, but we're a couple months out. Voters aren't really focused like we are, and probably won't be focused until we get past Labor Day. So one never knows how this election will turn out.
Well, this is great. Sarah, we really like you.
We'll all find out. Yeah, Sarah.
Hope you'll come chat with us again sometime.
Anytime. Always happy to chat.
Thanks.